You trusted them completely, shared your vulnerabilities, defended them when others questioned their character, and believed their promises of loyalty were genuine. Then came the moment when you needed them most, and they vanished, or worse. They turned against you with intimate knowledge of your weaknesses. The betrayal cut deeper because you never saw it coming, because you mistook their performance of loyalty for the real thing. You've been living in a dangerous delusion, believing that good intentions and kind gestures equal genuine loyalty, that surface-level friendships can withstand real pressure. But here you are, staring at the wreckage of what you thought was unbreakable trust, finally understanding what Machiavelli knew centuries ago. Most people's loyalty extends exactly as far as their convenience, and true loyalty is rarer than you want to believe. The person who smiled in your face, who shared your secrets, who claimed they'd always have your back, they were performing a role, not living a truth. They were calculating, even if unconsciously, whether supporting you served their interests or threatened them. You feel the sting of recognition now, don't you? That sickening realization that you've been reading the signs all wrong, that what you interpreted as genuine care was often strategic positioning. The friend who only called when they needed something but disappeared when you needed them. The colleague who praised you publicly but undermined you privately. The partner who promised forever but kept one foot out the door. You gave them your trust like it was worthless, and they treated it exactly that way. This moment of betrayal isn't your weakness, it's your awakening. You're finally seeing through the comfortable lies you've been telling yourself about human nature, about relationships, about the people you've allowed into your inner circle. The pain you feel isn't just from their betrayal, it's from the death of your innocence, from the collapse of the beautiful fiction that people are basically good, basically loyal, basically trustworthy. Welcome to reality. It's harsher than you imagined, but it's also where your real power begins. You've been programmed to believe that testing loyalty is cynical, that questioning people's motives is paranoid, that true relationships are built on blind trust. Society has sold you this mythology because it keeps you vulnerable, keeps you giving freely, keeps you serving others' interests while neglecting your own. But this mythology has left you defenseless against those who understand human nature better than you do. They've been playing chess while you've been playing checkers, thinking 3 moves ahead while you've been hoping everyone would just be nice. Machiavelli didn't advocate paranoia, he advocated intelligence. He recognized that loyalty is not a feeling but a choice, and choices change when circumstances change. The people who survive and thrive in this world don't trust blindly, they trust strategically, after evidence, after testing, after proof. They understand that trust is not a gift to be given freely but a privilege to be earned through consistent action. Your naive faith in untested loyalty isn't virtue, it's vulnerability disguised as nobility. You've been conditioned to see strategic, thinking about relationships as cold, calculating, unfeeling. But there's nothing noble about being repeatedly betrayed because you refuse to see people clearly. There's nothing virtuous about enabling others' selfishness by pretending it's kindness. There's nothing loving about allowing people to use your trust as a weapon against you. The mythology of unconditional trust has turned you into prey, and you've been walking around wounded, wondering why the predators keep finding you. The uncomfortable truth is that most people will disappoint you when it matters most. Not because they're evil, but because they're human. And humans prioritize their own survival, their own comfort, their own interests. This isn't pessimism, it's realism. And once you accept this reality, you can finally stop being surprised by betrayal and start being prepared for it. You can stop giving your trust away like candy and start making people earn it like the precious resource it actually is. Everyone can perform loyalty when it costs them nothing. They'll agree with you in private, support your ideas when it's popular, and offer help when you don't actually need it. They'll send encouraging messages when you're already winning, celebrate your victories when everyone else is celebrating, and stand by you when standing by you requires no courage whatsoever. But performative loyalty crumbles the moment it requires sacrifice, risk, or standing against popular opinion. You've been mistaking the performance for the substance, measuring loyalty by words instead of actions, by comfort zone support instead of costly commitment. You've been impressed by empty gestures, moved by hollow promises, convinced by performances that were never meant to withstand real pressure. The person who tells you they'll always be there has never been tested on what always actually means. The friend who promises unwavering support has never faced a situation where supporting you costs them something they care about. Real loyalty only reveals itself under pressure. When defending you hurts their reputation, when supporting you risks their position, when standing with you isolates them from others. This is where the performance ends and reality begins. This is where you discover who was acting and who was authentic. Until you've seen how people behave when loyalty becomes expensive, you haven't seen their loyalty at all. You've only seen their marketing materials. The harsh truth is that most people's loyalty is conditional on your continued utility to them, your continued popularity, your continued ability to make their lives easier or better. When those conditions change, when you become inconvenient, unpopular, or unable to benefit them, their loyalty evaporates like morning mist. They weren't lying when they promised to stand by you, they just didn't understand the terms of their own promise. They thought loyalty meant supporting you when it felt good, not when it felt costly. But there's power in seeing this clearly. Once you understand that most loyalty is performance, you can stop being devastated when the performance ends. You can stop taking betrayal personally and start seeing it as information. You can stop giving your real trust to performers and start reserving it for the rare individuals who have proven themselves under fire. The first and most revealing test happens when you're not in the room. When someone criticizes you, questions your character, or spreads doubt about your competence, who speaks up in your defense, who remains silent, who joins in. You'll never hear most of these conversations, but their effects ripple through your relationships, your reputation, and your opportunities. The people who defend you when you can't defend yourself are showing you something precious. They see protecting your interests as their responsibility, not as optional charity. This test reveals everything about someone's true feelings toward you because defending someone who isn't present requires no immediate reward. There's no gratitude in the moment, no recognition, no benefit. It's pure loyalty in action, loyalty that exists for its own sake rather than for what it might return. The person who defends you when you're not there to appreciate it is showing you authentic care, not performed care. Watch carefully how people speak about others in their absence, because that's exactly how they speak about you in yours. The person who gossips to you about everyone else is gossiping to everyone else about you. The person who never has anything good to say about people who aren't present never has anything good to say about you when you're not present. The person who defends others when they're vulnerable will defend you when you're vulnerable. This isn't speculation, it's pattern recognition. Most people fail this test because they don't see defending absent friends as their job. They see it as optional, as something nice they might do if they feel like it, if it's convenient, if it doesn't cost them anything. But loyalty that's optional isn't loyalty at all. It's just situational kindness. True loyalty includes the uncomfortable responsibility of standing up for people even when they can't thank you for it, even when it creates awkwardness, even when it would be easier to stay silent. The truly loyal don't just avoid betraying you. They actively protect your interests when you can't protect them yourself. They correct false information, challenge unfair criticism, and refuse to participate in conversations that damage your reputation. They do this not because you've asked them to, not because they expect something in return, but because they've chosen to see your well-being as connected to their own integrity. When crisis hits, when you lose your job, face public criticism, or fall from grace, watch who moves closer and who creates distance. Fair weather friends reveal themselves instantly during storms, suddenly becoming busy, unavailable, or mysteriously concerned about being associated with drama. They'll cite practical reasons for their distance, but the real reason is simpler. You've become a liability instead of an asset, and they're protecting themselves from your contamination. But true loyalty moves toward difficulty, not away from it. These people don't abandon you when you become inconvenient. They become more present, more supportive, more committed to your recovery. They understand that crisis is when loyalty matters most, when support is most needed, when standing by someone actually means something. They don't love you for your success, they love you despite your failures. Crisis doesn't create loyalty or disloyalty, it reveals what was always there beneath the surface. The person who disappears when you're struggling was never truly present when you were thriving. They were present for what you could do for them, not for who you actually are. The person who stands with you when you can offer them. Nothing is the only person whose loyalty you can trust when you have something to offer. This test is painful because it strips away all pretense, all performance, all comfortable illusions about who really cares about you. When you're down, when you're vulnerable, when you need help instead of offering it, you see people's true priorities. Some will surprise you with their loyalty, others will devastate you with their abandonment. But both revelations are gifts, because both show you reality instead of fantasy. The people who remain during your worst moments aren't just loyal, they're brave. It takes courage to associate with failure, to stand by someone the world has turned against, to risk being pulled down by someone's fall. These people are choosing your well-being over their own social safety, your recovery over their own reputation. They're showing you what love actually looks like when it's tested by fire. Stop providing the benefits, favors, connections, or advantages that people have come to expect from you, and observe who remains engaged versus who gradually distances themselves. This isn't about being cruel or manipulative, it's about understanding whether people value you or what you provide. This test reveals the difference between those who are loyal to you and those who are loyal to your utility. True loyalty persists when the transactional elements are removed, while false loyalty evaporates when the benefits disappear. The people who only contact you when they need something, who become cold when you can't deliver, who lose interest when you stop being useful, these people were never loyal to you. They were loyal to what you could do for them, and that loyalty was always conditional on your continued utility. This is perhaps the most sobering test, because it forces you to confront how much of your value to others is based on what you provide, rather than who you are. The friend who stops calling when you can't help with their projects. The colleague who becomes distant when you can't offer promotions or connections. The family member who only visits when they need money. These people weren't pretending to care, they genuinely enjoyed your company. But their enjoyment was contingent on your ability to enhance their lives. The people who stay engaged when the benefits stop are showing you something rare. They value your presence more than your presence, your company more than your contributions, your friendship more than your functionality. These people are willing to invest in the relationship even when the relationship stops paying dividends. They're loyal to you, not to what you can do for them. When their loyalty to you conflicts with their loyalty to someone else, their boss, their family, their other friends, who takes priority? This is where you discover the hierarchy of their commitments, where you learn whether your relationship can survive competing pressures. Some people compartmentalize loyalty, believing they can be faithful to everyone simultaneously. But reality forces choices, and those choices reveal true priorities. The people who consistently choose others over you when conflicts arise are telling you exactly where you stand in their loyalty hierarchy. This isn't about demanding to be someone's top priority, it's about understanding where you actually rank when their loyalties are tested. If you're always the one who gets sacrificed when loyalties compete, you're not as important to them as they are to you. This test reveals the uncomfortable truth that most people have loyalty hierarchies, and those hierarchies become crystal clear when conflicts arise. The employee who always chooses their boss over you is showing you that their professional security matters more than your friendship. The friend who always sides with their family against you is showing you that blood matters more than choice in their value system. But the people who sometimes choose you over competing loyalties, who sometimes risk other relationships to protect yours, who sometimes sacrifice other opportunities to honor their commitment to you, these people are showing you that you matter, that your relationship has weight in their decision-making, that loyalty to you is a real factor in their choices. Share something confidential, not devastating, but genuinely private, and track whether it stays contained or spreads through your network. This test reveals who treats your trust as sacred versus who sees your secrets as social currency. The disloyal don't just betray major confidences, they betray minor ones too, because they fundamentally don't understand that your trust is not theirs to spend. Watch for the subtle signs. Information that somehow becomes common knowledge. Details that mysteriously reach the wrong ears. Personal. Information that gets used against you in future conflicts. The person who can't keep small secrets can't keep big ones either. The person who gossips about your minor business will gossip about your major business. The person who shares what you told them in confidence sees your trust as social capital to be spent for their benefit. True loyalty includes the discipline of silence, the strength to carry your secrets without letting them become leverage or gossip. These people understand that when you trust them with private information, you're making them the guardian of your vulnerability. They don't take this responsibility lightly. They don't see your secrets as interesting stories to share or as information to trade for social advantage. This test is particularly revealing because it shows you who has the maturity and integrity to handle trust responsibly. Keeping secrets requires nothing from the secret keeper except discretion. Yet many people fail this simple test. They can't resist the social power that comes from having inside information, the attention that comes from being the one who knows things others don't, the influence that comes from being a source of gossip and revelation. The people who keep your secrets, who guard your private information like it's their own, who never use your vulnerability against you, these people are showing you what integrity looks like in action. They're proving that your trust in them is safe, that your vulnerability is protected, that your private life will remain private. Understanding why people perform false loyalty helps you recognize it faster and protect yourself more effectively. Most false loyalty stems from self-interest disguised as affection. They're loyal because it benefits them, not because they value you. They've discovered that appearing loyal gets them access to your resources, your network, your trust, your support. Their loyalty is a business strategy, not an emotional commitment. Others offer conditional loyalty based on your continued success, popularity, or usefulness. These people aren't consciously manipulative, but their loyalty is unconsciously transactional. They remain loyal as long as being loyal serves their interests, as long as you remain someone worth being loyal to in their cost-benefit analysis. When the equation changes, their loyalty changes with it. Some people are loyal only when it's easy, when it costs them nothing, when it requires no courage or sacrifice. They've never been tested, so they don't know their own limits. They genuinely believe they would stand by you through anything because they've never faced a situation where standing by you required them to give up something they wanted or face something they feared. The most dangerous, false loyalty comes from those who are loyal to the version of you that serves their needs while being prepared to abandon you the moment you become inconvenient. They love your generosity but not your boundaries, your support but not your independence, your loyalty but not your expectations of loyalty in return. They've created a fantasy version of you that exists to serve them, and they're loyal to that fantasy, not to your reality. These people haven't chosen to be disloyal. They've simply never chosen to be loyal in the first place. Their loyalty is default behavior, not conscious commitment. It exists until it becomes costly, until it becomes difficult, until it requires them to choose between you and something else they want. Then their true priorities become clear, and you realize their loyalty was never a decision. It was just the path of least resistance. The psychology of false loyalty is often rooted in fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of loneliness, fear of being seen as disloyal. These people perform loyalty because they want to be good people, because they want to be liked, because they want to avoid the discomfort of honest conflict or honest distance. But loyalty that's rooted in fear rather than choice is unstable, unreliable, and ultimately hollow. Genuine loyalty is characterized by consistency across all conditions, public and private, convenient and costly, easy and difficult. These people defend you when you're absent, support you during crisis, stay engaged when benefits disappear, choose you when loyalties compete, and guard your secrets as if they were their own. They've made a fundamental choice about the relationship that transcends circumstances. They're not perfect, and they don't agree with everything you do, but they've decided that your well-being matters to them, regardless of how supporting your well-being affects their own interests. Their loyalty isn't conditional on your behavior, your success, your usefulness, or your ability to reciprocate. It's a commitment they've made to the relationship itself. True loyalty includes the courage to tell you hard truths, the strength to support difficult decisions, and the wisdom to know when backing you serves your real interests versus your immediate desires. These people will sometimes oppose you to protect you, will sometimes refuse to enable your self-destruction, will sometimes risk your anger to serve your long-term well-being. Their loyalty is to your highest good, not to your immediate comfort. This kind of loyalty is rare because it requires emotional maturity, personal security, and genuine care. It requires the ability to see beyond immediate transactions to long-term relationship health. It requires the strength to remain committed when commitment becomes difficult, the wisdom to know when loyalty requires saying no, and the courage to stay present when presence becomes costly. The people who offer you genuine loyalty have usually been tested by life in ways that taught them the value of real relationships. They understand what it means to be abandoned, so they don't abandon others. They know what it feels like to have their trust betrayed, so they guard others' trust carefully. They've learned that authentic connection is rare and precious, worth protecting and preserving, even when protection requires sacrifice. Once you know who's real, you must act on this knowledge strategically. This doesn't mean cutting everyone who fails a loyalty test, but it does mean adjusting your trust, vulnerability, and investment accordingly. The disloyal get access to less sensitive information, fewer opportunities to betray, and reduced emotional investment from you. The truly loyal earn deeper trust, greater vulnerability, and increased investment in the relationship. This isn't about punishment or reward. It's about reality-based relationship management. You treat people according to what they've proven themselves to be, not what you hope they might become. You stop wasting energy trying to earn loyalty from people who are incapable of giving it, and you stop undervaluing the loyalty of people who have already proven their commitment to you. The strategic response to test results requires you to let go of the fantasy that everyone can become truly loyal if you just love them enough, trust them enough, give them enough chances. Some people are simply not capable of the kind of loyalty you need and deserve. This isn't a judgment of their worth as human beings, it's a recognition of their limitations in relationship to you. You begin to invest your time, energy, and emotional resources in proportion to what people have demonstrated they're willing to invest in you. You stop being the person who gives 100% to relationships where others give 20%. You stop being the person who trusts completely while others trust conditionally. You stop being the person who sacrifices consistently for people who would never sacrifice consistently for you. This strategic approach to relationships isn't cold or calculating. It's intelligent and protective. It allows you to build deeper connections with people who are capable of reciprocity while protecting yourself from people who see your loyalty as weakness to be exploited rather than strength to be honored. You now possess what Machiavelli considered essential for survival: the ability to distinguish between performed loyalty and genuine commitment, between fair-weather friends and true allies. Your inner circle becomes smaller but infinitely more reliable, populated by people who have proven themselves under pressure rather than those who simply promise support in comfort. This knowledge transforms you from naive victim of betrayal into strategic architect of relationships. You no longer waste emotional energy on the disloyal or miss opportunities to deepen bonds with the genuinely faithful. You've learned to read the signs, to test the claims, to verify the promises before you invest your heart completely. Your sovereign circle consists of people who have passed through fire with you, who have chosen you when choosing you was costly, who have proven their loyalty through action rather than words. These relationships become your fortress, your sanctuary, your source of strength in a world where genuine loyalty is rare and precious. You've learned the most valuable lesson in human relations, that testing loyalty isn't cynical, it's essential. And knowing who's real is the foundation of every form of power worth possessing. You no longer fear betrayal because you no longer trust blindly. You no longer depend on others' loyalty because you've learned to depend on your own judgment. You've become sovereign in your relationships, choosing who to trust based on evidence rather than hope, reality rather than fantasy. This is not cynicism, this is wisdom. This is not coldness, this is strength. This is not paranoia, this is intelligence applied to the most important area of human life. Knowing who will stand with you when everything else falls away.